My name is Liz. Hello. My family is from Ghana, but I now live in Stratford. I live with my two best friends, and we have a dog called Zola. And I've worked in education for many years now, and worked with both neurodiverse and neurotypical children. I have a few autistic family members, and I'm also part of my church, run by my dad, who's Reverend, and I used to teach Sunday school.
Okay. And this is me, Eva. I just put the pronunciation of my name because it's kind of troubling sometimes. So I'm originally from Poland, but now I live in Cambridge. I come from quite an education-based family, as my sister and my mum, they both work in education with children. And I have worked in education since I was 16, first tutoring children in my local neighborhood and then working in an SEN school. And now I'm volunteering for a charity through teaching coding to children with additional learning needs. The charity is called Ignite Hubs. I have an older brother with Down syndrome who's also autistic, but he doesn't have an official dual diagnosis. So we would invite you to introduce yourselves now. So what's your name? What do you do? What would you like to take away from today's discussion? And maybe an interesting fact about you. You can answer in the chat or unmute yourself and say it out loud if that's okay with you. Vanessa, would you like to go first?
Hi, my name is Vanessa Bob. What do? I set up a second voice due to my son, Nathaniel, who is autistic. He's 18 now, and then my 15-year-old is autistic, got ADHD as well. And why would I like to take part today? I think because I actually had 2 demonstrations at 2 events over the holidays. I saw how it got families to work together. And I just was amazed. And I know I want to buy the product. An interesting fact about me, I just like helping people, especially those who've got autism and special needs. That's me.
Yeah, great.
Amazing. Thank you. Jenny, would you like to say a few things about you? Okay, so I will read it out loud. We've got an answer from Jenny in the chat. So I'm Jen, mum of 3. Seth has a global developmental delay on pathway to further diagnosis. I like to take part, as always, out on the look for SEN technology. Thank you very much. And we've got Tian with us today. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Tian, can you hear us? Are you with us? And one more thing from Jenny, my husband is in the Navy, so we are also a military family. That's a very interesting fact. Ooh. Thank you. Okay, so Tian, we're introducing ourselves now. So if you'd like to pop a few things about yourself in the chat, that would be great. And we will move forward now. So we will have a few polls on the way. So I will put on the first one now. You should be able to see it now. So what kind of assistive technologies have you used or experienced? Used with your children on maybe during some of the summer activities. So we've got speech and communication aids for now and vision aids. Can you all see the poll? Yes, okay. So we've got speech and communication aids, the most popular for now. Also mobility aids, accessibility switches, and cognitive aids to strengthen memory, concentration, and other cognitive skills. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay. And then what kind of interaction hurdles are you currently trying to overcome? So those are learning hurdles that you're facing right now. So that will be another poll. Let me just activate it. Okay, you should be able to see it now. So we've got following instructions, taking turns, waiting, listening, transition, expressing intention, initiating interaction, emotional expression, and emotional regulation. So I think the one that gathered most responses was following instructions, and then we've got taking turns, 50%, listening, 50%, transition, initiating interaction, emotional expression, and emotional regulation. I think the one that didn't gather any responses was responding to the information given. Okay, thank you very much for taking part in the poll. And right now we'll tell you a little bit about the research that was done in inclusive play. So this research was done by University of Washington a few years back, and we will share the links to the research in the last slide. So inclusive play is crucial to provide learning opportunities to challenge stereotypes, build strong relationships, teach empathy, and practice social skills. And here at Filisia, one of our missions is to enable technology to support inclusive play and meaningful interaction among neurodiverse and neurotypical peers. And scientific research identifies barriers and facilitators of inclusive play. So barriers would be the things that hinder inclusive play and make it more difficult, and facilitators would be ways how we can facilitate inclusive play and make it easier. During that research, the majority of parents and carers of neurodiverse children said that they did not or they do not use technology during inclusive play. So the question here is why? They expressed some main barriers that hinder inclusive play, such as the effort and time required to facilitate inclusive play, children's preferences to play alone, parental concerns about the safety of technology, and inappropriate technology tools that cannot really be well adapted to the children's individual needs. But the same research also showed that technologies are very beneficial resources in inclusive classrooms and other environments, particularly in fostering genuine relationships. So the question here is how we can bridge the gap between barriers and facilitators to make sure that we make quick and effective use of technology. Some of the facilitators that were identified during the research are providing safe environments where children and young people know what to expect from technology, and they know what to expect from other children as well. Customizable and adjustable technology that can be adjusted to the children's particular needs and abilities and interests, and embedded learning experiences, which are opportunities for children to cooperate, communicate, and problem solve together, basically at every step they take. So even if they are not taking part in an activity that is specifically designed for inclusive play, they are still expected to work together to achieve a common goal, and that can lead to building stronger relationships. And moving on to the next slides. So at Filisia, we continuously work to find out the best ways assistive technologies can enable inclusive play. And what we have discovered over months and years is that it can indeed do that by providing those embedded learning experiences, so opportunities for everyone to come together and to problem solve together to achieve a common goal. And that in effect can enable some quality family time, aid communication within the family, and hopefully provide opportunities for peers, but also siblings of neurodiverse children to come together and to bond and to build strong relationships. And Elizabeth will tell you now a little bit more about Cosmo, what we do, and how we are trying to address some of those barriers.
Great. So as some of you will know, Cosmo is an award-winning system that changes how early years learners and young people with different educational needs train their physical, cognitive, and communication skills. So it's been designed to reimagine learning and play. The Cosmo system has been developed with teachers, occupational therapists, physical therapists, and other industry professionals within the SEN community. And it's comprised of a smart button, so of smart dynamic buttons that change color, and Cosmo training app. So the Cosmo switch buttons have a dynamic input sensor, which means that they can be activated with a really, really light touch. And the buttons can be mounted to a wheelchair using a universal mounting arm to make them more accessible. And they can even be mounted on the wall using magnets to promote inclusive play. The Cosmo app has a curriculum-based learning plans that target skills such as general vocalization, transitions, sensory integration, cause and effect, joint attention, logical reasoning, sequencing skills, weighting skills, lots and lots and lots. So Cosmo is able to make a positive impact on motor and cognitive skills. So our aim for families is to be able to use Cosmo to integrate learning, therapy, and play into family life. And we really want to promote inclusion as much as possible, particularly with siblings, but also to facilitate quality family time. So it has a wide range of uses and will soon offer data insights throughout the app, which is great. And Cosmo is available for purchase and subscription. If you wanted to get in touch regarding this, then please send me an email later.
Okay,
great.
Thank you, Liz. So now we would like to move on to a little bit of a discussion to get your insights into some barriers to inclusive play. And then moving on, we would like to discuss educational and healthcare provision in schools and see how we feel about technologies being a part of that. So we will go through a few scenarios, and we would like to hear your ideas on those. So scenario number one, video and iPad gameplay has been a popular discussion for a long while now. How do you feel? So how do video games fit in your family life? And how do you feel about technologies being a part of your family life? If you would like to share your thoughts either out loud or in the chat, is fine with us.
I would say something.
Yeah, great.
Hi, I know with my son Nathaniel's 18 now, the challenges I had at the age of 3 before he was diagnosed was the lack of people understanding that I didn't agree with technology because I worked in television. So I tried to keep everything books. And once he had this electrical gadget, right from 3 to 18, he's always, everything's IT, social media. He will not engage with talking. He struggles. So I think for me, video is very important because it's a visual thing. And I think anything that's visual, he'd engage. Do talking, he was shut down. All my children actually always on smartphone. They won't talk together. So I think what you guys are doing, I think it's quite interesting because I can see how when my daughter came along, she engaged with it. And you can see, and all the children that participated, they usually would sit on their own. But once you actually had the gadget with all the lights and the iPad, they engaged totally different. And the interaction showed how they could learn, turn taking, and it showed they can actually talk together. Because I had a young guy, when he had the iPad, he was able to do a countdown where Eva was talking. So it's a very clever way it's been done, where it brings them together, the colors, the information. So I think it is a good gadget from my perspective. If I had this with my son, I think it would have pulled him away and he would have learnt better when it came to his learning. That's my perspective.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you so
that's really
much.
good. Yeah. So, so do you feel like technologies can take some of that effort away from you to facilitate that play among your children?
I think for me,
Right.
just looking at over the last years, talking about COVID, I've noticed that families have stayed at home. Interaction has been really poor for a lot of families. But I think having something like this at home, and I think it's more accessible because it means that everyone can take turns. People may not want to talk, but I could see the way Cosmo has brought a different element when it comes to technology. Because I know when it comes to a lot of autistic people, adults or those who've got special education needs, if if language is a challenge for them, I think when you have something like, if I'm saying it right in this question, if the way it's being developed, it brings something else out into a family home. And I know in my household, there's not a lot of communications or arguing, but I think if I had something like this, we could actually probably program it to bring it a different sort of way into the family household. I hope that makes sense what I've said.
Yeah, no, it does definitely. And definitely aiding communication is one of the main things that we want to look into, because we know this can be a hurdle that is difficult to overcome. And I talk based on my personal experience as well, growing up with a sister and a brother with Down syndrome. And we definitely want to put some solutions in place as well that would aid communication and help children communicate better and people with special needs, and that will just make it easier for families to understand them. We've got an input from Jenny as well. I think with the way our culture is developing, technology is a huge part. However, when my eldest is on his computer, we would never leave. We could leave and he wouldn't notice. Okay, so he's that immersed in technology. However, last Sunday we used the storytelling app and it really brought the kids together. To be honest, I was really shocked. Choice making would be great. We use PAX and Makaton, and Cosmo could easily fit in. Yes, these are some of the things that we are planning to develop in the future. So to integrate Cosmo a little bit more with other speech and communication aids. But it's really great to see, Jenny, that the storytelling app brought the kids together. And we think that especially bringing siblings together and encouraging siblings to maybe read the stories out loud to neurodiverse siblings or to explain games to them can really foster those meaningful relationships and help them bond together and help them understand each other. We had an introduction from Tian as well. So Tian works with children who struggle with dyslexia, ADHD, and autism. Hope to learn more about how technology can be helpful for online teaching and learning. Okay, great. So shall we move maybe to the next scenario, Liz? We frequently hear of families who struggle to facilitate inclusive play between their neurodivergent and neurotypical children. Have you managed to facilitate inclusive play at home and house? So this is kind of a question that relates back to the research. So what are some other barriers to inclusive play, and how do you think we could try and overcome those and facilitate play? Mainly including technology, but maybe some other ways you've tried in the past, if you'd like to share your thoughts. I think Vanessa is on a call. So maybe Tian or Jenny, if you have any ideas or anything you've tried in the past.
I think besides using it for learning, some of the parents do use it as a reward. Like after the children complete the work, then okay, you're allowed to play another 10 minutes or 15 minutes based on your preference. You know, you can choose like what do you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great.
So do you think that using technology as a reward could be potentially a way to facilitate play between siblings? Or would it be just plainly used as a reward?
I think it can both, like after they complete the task, or even, you know, how siblings interact with each other. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. And we've got input from Jenny. Seth struggles with using his imagination. So for us, toys have to be cars, balls, things he knows or can see in real life. Cosmo, while it's lit, was great to play and good for teamwork. So while it's lit, to explain to Tian, is one of the activities, is a little bit like whack-a-mole, where all the buttons are red and one of the buttons lights up in the green color, and you need to press the green one before it turns back red. So it's for practicing reaction time, but also cooperation. So if you play it as a team, one person can show to another which button lights up green, and then the other person can press it. So it fosters communication, and it can be both played individually and in the team. So okay. So I would say that for Jenny, that would be like a barrier, because the things that he wants to use has to be related to real life objects. So there is a limited range of things that he will be interested in. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that was really interesting.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really interesting input. And Tian, because you said that you work with children with ADHD, dyslexia, and autistic students as well. What other types of technology have you used, and how has that worked out for the children? If you'd like to share your thoughts. If not, that's okay as well.
Do you mean like technology including cognitive game?
Yeah. Like what other games or technology tools have you used with the children you've worked with?
Actually, I seldom use it, because parents from my area, they are quite reluctant to include all this technology video game into teaching and learning. But I do see that some of the children who are at different center, when they include all this technology video game, they do observe improvement in their processing speed, or even communication skill, and also like working memory. So yeah, that's why I'm here to like learn more how all this can be benefit, and does it really, you know, help? Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And you said that some of the parents are quite reluctant to adopt technology. Do you know why is that? Why are they afraid of technology, or they haven't found a tool that would be good for their children?
I think they normally frame it as being addicted, you know, like once children started to watch something very interactive, especially like video, movie, and they become easily distracted when they go back to paper study, you know, like when they read a book. Yeah, hardly attract them, because they used to have like all this animation, you know, the movement. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. I think with Cosmo, one of the good things, like one of the many good things, is that it can be used both with the iPad and separately. So the learner can see visual feedback on the screen, or they can play separately from the iPad. So they don't even have to use the iPad. They can just use the Cosmoids, the buttons. And that can promote some physical movement as well, and cooperation. So they don't necessarily have to sit alone and just be them in the screen, but they can work with other children on different learning goals. Okay, let's move to the scenario number 3 then, which kind of relates to the previous scenarios. So families say that their neurodivergent children or child does not include themselves in play, doesn't want to participate in group activities. How have you managed to overcome it, and what kinds of things are you trying or have you tried in the past? So this kind of relates to scenario number 2, so how we can actually facilitate inclusive play, and what techniques would work to encourage kids to participate in group activities. So we've got one more comment from Jenny relating to the previous question. Many things he plays with, we have to set up beforehand, I think, yeah, or give him. I found that iPad was a distraction, so we have to move it away. Okay, yes. So I feel like from what I've spoken with other parents as well, and carers and families, that iPads are indeed a distraction. And when I worked in school, I was able to observe that as well. So I think Cosmo gives that sort of opportunity that each learner can, or a child at home can be able to control their own button, and they don't really have to concentrate on the screen on their own, or they can, each of them can control a separate button, and they can see the same screen all together. So you can stream the iPad screen onto the interactive whiteboards, and they can work together, for example, to navigate through YouTube, Netflix, or other third-party apps. So Jenny says, we just try to be consistent. If one app doesn't grab his attention, we'll go back to something he does like, and we'll try again. That makes sense, definitely.
Right. And I was just thinking, particularly like for the benefit of TM, for some of the parents who are very reluctant towards education, interactive education in terms of like electronics and video games and using that for learning, I think Cosmo has a good way of bridging that gap, because specifically, as Jenny said, the iPad is distracting, so she can take it away, but it's directly the buttons that can promote the learning, and that's what does the teaching. It's the setup first. So definitely having the Cosmo switches to bridge that gap and kind of showcase that understanding, but ultimately, like the lesson plans and stuff like that will hopefully help to show the learning aspect to parents and to teachers, or whoever is reluctant to seeing the benefit of using video gameplay in learning.
Okay, thank you for that input. We've got a thumbs up from Tian. Okay, and now we will move on a little bit towards transitioning between holidays and new school year, and that will be one of the last things that we'll discuss today. So I will launch a short poll, which asks you, how are you feeling about the new school year? It's a scale from 1 to 5. 1 is very well and confident, and 5 apprehensive. So it's launched now, so you'll be able to see it. We've got 1 vote for apprehensive. So we've got 4 and 5, so not very confident. We can wait for, okay, we've got 3, 4, and 5. So it's an interesting thing that no one really feels very, very well and confident, which can be due to different reasons. Okay, so we've got 3, 4, and 5. From scale from 1 to 5, 1 being very well and confident to 5 being apprehensive. Okay. Okay, so, so this is an interesting input. If you'd like to share why are you feeling apprehensive or not really confident, we would really appreciate that. But if you'd rather keep it to yourselves, then that's okay with us. Sorry.
Sometimes it might be because of the school or the school setup, but sometimes it's you know, parents and families reflecting how the children might feel as well. They're nervous or they've got a new teacher or a new school. So it's always interesting for us to kind of have that input so that we know how, you know, generally our families are feeling and see if there's anything that we can do to help ease that.
So you've got an answer from Jenny. Seth goes to school on the bus, so I never meet his stuff in person. Being nonverbal, he can't tell me about his day. Okay, so yeah, so not being able to meet his staff in person and not being able to speak with them directly, ask about his day can definitely be an obstacle and a cause for concern. And the difficulty of being able to express how the school day was, what happened, what he liked, what he didn't like, can be definitely worrying. Thank you for this answer, Jenny. Okay, so Elizabeth, if you would like to say now a little bit more about EHCP and
yes. So I'm sure we're all familiar with educational health and care plans and how they're implemented in school. And we've had many discussions about bridging the gap between school and home. So we know typically neurodiverse children enjoy routine, and potentially we'll be able to use Cosmo to support children with this routine. So far, Cosmo has been effective in school setting when TAs or teachers are able to take a small group of children outside the classroom to focus on particular skills. For example, if during classroom reading time, a support worker can take a small group outside of the classroom and work on other skills, such as joint attention with reading, or can focus on vocalization for children who are nonverbal, or cause and effect and logical reasoning, any type of skills that are listed on the child's EHCP. Like the support worker would be able to determine what activities would best support as well, given the activities listed on the Cosmo training app, and track which ones they're doing. And inside of the Cosmo training app, we have provided lesson plans specifically to train those skills as well, and just to be as helpful as possible. And these can be accessed by both parents and teachers. So children will be able to continue the work that they're doing in school at home as well as part of gameplay. And in addition to that, they'll be able to use it in the classroom setting as part of learning as well. So that will be a good way to bridge the gap between home and school.
So I think maybe we can move on to poll number 4, and then we can have a short discussion about that. What do you think about that, Liz?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
Okay. So poll number 4 is a question: how would you feel about assistive technologies being a part of your child's EHCP and support those areas that Liz talked about? in cooperation with the support workers and other school staff. This is rating from 1 to 5. 1 being I would like that very much, and 5, I don't think assistive technologies and other technologies would be useful for EHCP. You should be able to see the poll right now. We've got 2 and 1, which is I would like that very much, and I would like that not very much, but I would like that. So we've got 2 answers for 2 and 1 answer for 1. So you would generally like that very much, or you think that would be useful. So it would be great for us if you could share maybe in a bit more detail, how would you feel about that? And what sort of technologies you would like to see, and maybe which areas of children's development you think assistive technologies would be most useful in, and how would you feel about this cooperation and working together with school staff and support workers to implement assistive technologies into your child's EHCP? Because I think definitely what you, Jenny, mentioned, that you are not really, because Seth goes to the school on the bus, you're not really you don't have the opportunity to work with his support worker or key worker about his day. So I think maybe this would be one of the barriers to successful implementation of ATs in the EHCP. So Jenny said it would be great. Okay. Vanessa and Tian, what do you think about that? If you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here. I think it would be great, but I think mainly it's the acceptance and also how to promote the awareness. Yeah.
Okay, that's really, very interesting. And how to promote awareness, and definitely how to promote awareness among parents to become a bit more confident that the technology can be safe, and maybe safe ways of using, because I think definitely one of the concern is accessing maybe some inappropriate content online, and playing games that wouldn't really be age appropriate, because internet obviously doesn't offer filters, and it can kind of be risky sometimes to access some content that is not really appropriate. So we've got answer from Jenny. It would be great for assistive technologies to be a part of the EHCP. During the lockdown period, they gave us passwords for similar apps to what they used in school. To have an app we both use, then you can use what progress they are making and so on. Children do perform differently at school to home and so on. Yes, this is definitely that's very interesting.
I just have something to add. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, so Jenny, you said that they gave you passwords for similar apps to what they used in school. And you said that children do perform differently at school and at home and so on. So was Seth able to use the same apps and activities at home as he was using them in school? And how difficult was that? To do the same activities in the home environment comparing to the school environment? It was more of a parent view, so some things were there, but you couldn't share it with school via the app. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think it's really interesting what TM said about building awareness and how do families know that something like this is available. I think the best way that we are able to do that, oh, okay, so games had limited levels like a free trial, right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yes, so I think the best way to build that awareness is just creating more communities like this, where, you know, parents and families can feel really supported. They can ask questions, they can share ideas, but also here is an avenue where we can build that knowledge as well. So please do try and get us involved in any community projects and any webinars like this, where we would love to be able to share and promote Cosmo, but also to build up that bank of use cases and see if there are any similar technologies that you are using in school. It's really useful for us to know as well.
And yeah, and definitely how we can integrate technologies together. So other speech and communication aids, how to integrate them with other accessibility tools to just enable different forms of communications for children, because speaking is only one way of communicating, and there are so many other ways that can help us understand the children better. Okay. I think we can maybe slowly be finishing, unless, Liz, you've got any other questions you would like to ask regarding the EHCP provision.
What I would love to hear about, maybe throughout the year, or please contact us on social media or by email, just about how you're finding that process. I know with the start of the school year and updating educational health and care plans, it's interesting for us to hear the support that families are given and kind of what that process looks like from the other side, and how it feels as well. I think you know, we can read online and we know the systems in terms of how the process should be, but how is it actually being implemented by the school and your child's school specifically? So for us to be able to give that advice in a really positive way, but also make sure we're making correct recommendations if we are making recommendations at all. So just making sure that we have the opportunity to kind of understand like parent sentiment and how families are feeling about the school's approach to modifying and changing and giving your opinion about the child's educational health and care plan.
Okay, so we will be slowly finishing. These are the research that we talked about at the beginning. Those are 2 articles written by the same people, I think, on 2 different universities, but they are very interesting, and they are not really, they're not written in scientific jargon, which is difficult for me to understand as well. So they are very worth reading, and they are quite good ideas in them. So I will share this presentation with you via email after the webinar today. If you could rate this webinar, sorry, after we end this meeting, there will be a short 2-question survey. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can go to our website, www.filisia.com, and you can stay with us in touch directly with me and Elizabeth, and follow us on social media as well. We are currently looking for families, parents, carers, siblings to take part in a 2nd round of the pilot study that we are currently running to see how Cosmo can best support families at home, and especially in that transition between holidays and the new school year. We will share those resources with you, and thank you very much for attending today. It was really great to hear your ideas and things that you struggle with, and inputs and feedback. So thank you very much, and it was great to meet you. It was great to see you, and have a good rest of the day, and have a great weekend as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.